Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the Lieutenant Governor stopped in Pike County to survey flood damage. Plus, how one Eastern Kentucky business is working to reopen after floodwaters filled their store.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and a happy Tuesday to you, Mountain family. My name's Amelia Lee here with you on this March 4th, and the time is 5 o'clock, which means it's time to check on in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal this morning. And Megan, we are in a first alert weather day today, so tell us, why are we in that? What's going on weather-wise as we start our morning?
Well, we're under a couple of weather advisories and high wind warnings as we're going through the next couple hours because we have fast winds as the next system is approaching. That's what we'll be watching for the next couple of hours and for the next couple of days. Here's a look at those current temperatures as you're heading out the door. Majority of the area is looking nice and warm considering we are in the 40s, 45 for Monticello, 48 for Somerset, and as you're traveling more towards portions of our southern areas, we're seeing the 30s, 32 for Jacksboro, Middlesboro, and 30 for Jonesville. We'll get up into the upper 60s as we're heading into the high, seeing some low 70s for portions in our center area, 71 for Manchester, Harlan, Middlesboro, Pikeville, and Prestonsburg. We're going to have a nice and cloudy day for most of the day, but as we head into the evening, that's when we'll start to see that rain chance and storm chance pop up. But you can expect those fast winds pretty much all day long. Here's what you can expect for the next 12 hours. Mostly 5 to 10 mile per hour winds. Starting to see wind gusts in the 20s as you're heading into the next couple hours, and then 30s as you travel into the overnight hours. Amelia.
All right, thank you, Megan. Well, state and local officials gathered in the region yesterday to visit businesses, homes, and other facilities impacted by the recent floodwaters. WYMT's Buddy Forbes was there as Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman hit the pavement in Pike County.
From surveying the damage to businesses in the city of Coal Run to speaking to flood survivors near the Virgie community, Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman visited Pike County Monday for an update on the area's flood recovery efforts.
It doesn't matter how many times you see it, it's always devastating, and you can't help but feel for the families and the local business owners and the schools and the folks that are now in this cleanup mode.
Folks like Lavinia Hamilton and Belva Collins, whose neighborhood just off of Penny Highway was ravaged by raging waters.
There it goes. There's nothing you can do. You can't stop it. You can't catch it. You know, it's gone. Hamilton has lived on Bobby Lane her entire life and says flooding has never reached as high as it did that day, filling her home with several feet of water.
I had to rent a house and me having a house. So it's just so hard. When I look out there, that's my whole life out there. Everything that we work our lives for is just sitting out there.
She says being visited by the Lieutenant Governor was a small ray of light, hoping it means recovery can be a reality for her and her neighbors.
We're talking to FEMA right now, yeah. They act like they're going to help me, yeah, but, you know, I got to wait and see.
Collins says she has lived in her home for more than 4 decades, and after seeing the last 2 floods, she believes removing the old train bridge could keep her community from flooding again. But for now, she is just hoping to get her property cleaned up with helping hands pouring in from all around.
We just appreciate all the help we're getting and can always use more to rebuild and get everything back together.
And with boots on the ground from FEMA and the Small Business Administration, Coleman says that help is coming, saying the state is also working on more innovative plans like the higher ground communities to help people keep their heads above.
You know, we'll be looking at ways that we can help and try to prevent something like this from happening again.
In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Coleman visited some places that were not on Governor Beshear's original stops last week. She says they want to see as much of the devastation as they can to get a more clear picture of the needs and how the state can help. Pike County Judge Executive Ray Jones says it will take years to recover from this flood, and he's concerned some businesses might not reopen.
This is the worst flood event that I can recall, and I do remember the '77 flood. Pikeville was destroyed, with a lot of damage in downtown Pikeville, but that was all prevented by the cut through.
Yeah.
But this is the largest river flood event that we've had probably since 1957 or 1963.
Jones says Governor Beshear told him he believes Pike County was the hardest hit county in the state. You can hear more from the judge executive on this week's edition of Issues and Answers. It aired last night at 7, but it's still available on our website, WYMT.com, and on Zeem. More FEMA disaster recovery centers are now open in the mountains. In Knott County, folks can go to the Sportsplex, while a new center has opened up at the Floyd County Board of Education site in Eastern. And in Martin County, folks can go to the library in Inez. We have more details at WYMT.com. Governor Andy Beshear reported another Eastern Kentucky death because of the recent weather. He says the man's death in Floyd County was floodwater related. That brings the statewide death toll to 24. Well, we learned yesterday that Johnson and Estill counties were added to state's major disaster declaration. President Donald Trump has now approved the expedited major disaster declaration for 14 counties in Kentucky. Yesterday, a Senate resolution that would create a disaster prevention and resiliency task force was discussed in committee. Senate Concurrent Resolution 67 would help expand planning for disasters that impact the Commonwealth. It's backed by a bipartisan group of senators, including District 18 Senator Robin Webb, who spoke at yesterday's hearing. Webb says the task force is needed after the recent string of devastating floods and tornadoes in the Commonwealth the past few years.
We are all being touched by this, and hopefully what this task force would do would allow us to assemble members of all aspects and try to identify practices that would better prepare Kentucky, save us money, save us lives.
The resolution unanimously passed in committee and is moving forward. We are just more than 2 weeks removed from the February flood, but some business owners and homeowners feel like that devastation happened just yesterday. Owners of the Miners Mall in Perry County say they lost everything. Right now, they're cleaning up and working to rebuild, hoping they can get everything back to how it was before the flood. Joseph Harris says he hopes other people do not have to go through something like this.
I pray for everybody out there. God bless you, each and every person. And I hope you never, ever have to go through anything like this again.
The Harrises have owned the Miners Mall for nearly 12 years. They rely on their vendors who sell products from their storefront in the Airport Gardens community. Well, this is Severe Weather Awareness Week, and that usually means the statewide tornado drill. It was originally scheduled for Wednesday, but because of weather concerns, officials moved it to Friday at 10:07 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. All Kentuckians are invited to participate in the life-saving practice drill. Well, thank you for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Coming up, President Trump delivers a joint address to Congress, a preview and the major policy issues in focus.
And I'll have the latest on tonight's storm up next.